This is the best part of my job, is when we get to do this tonight. I'm very honored to be able to introduce to you two new firefighters that have joined the department in the past year, and both of which have completed their training. So the first one I'd like to introduce is Sarah Callan. Come on up. Sarah joined us. Literally, she joined like within the week before the class started. I said, "Are you interested in starting a class right away?" And she said, "Absolutely." And so we found gear for her and got her signed up, and she's taken right off on it. She did what we refer to as basic fire school. And that's a level that is recognized by the state of Maine to meet all the minimum requirements, so that as of tonight, she'll be an interior firefighter for the town. So she has a lot of enthusiasm and it's contagious. So we're glad to have her around. So congratulations. And I believe that our boyfriend is going to pass on.
Can you guys also, can you stand like the three of you together for a minute? Thank you.
I have her certificate from the Maine Fire Service Institute, Sarah Callan, graduate of the Basic Fire School. And this is the part that they all look forward to. When you join our fire department, and if you're not an interior certified firefighter, you get a green helmet. And so they always look forward to when they can get rid of their green helmet and get their black helmet, which signifies they can go interior to fight fire. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Next is Daniel Jones. And DJ's been on board with us for a while, and the class that he took is the Firefighter 1 and 2 Fire Academy, and that's recognized at the national level. So he's what they refer to as pro board certified. He took all the testing and everything so that he could basically go anywhere in the country that accepts pro board and work as a firefighter. So it's several months longer class than the one Sarah took. And we're really proud of his efforts. One of the things I'm most excited about is that from both academies, I heard from the instructors how wonderful both of them are, how fortunate we are to have them. So I'm especially proud of that. So thank you guys for your efforts in that class for doing that. So this time I believe DJ's grandmother is going to.
We've got some medics in the back. It's okay.
It started. He drilled the hole too.
Struggle is real.
I'll be fine with the show.
Here we go. Got it.
All right, here's your certificate.
What a nice person. Bringing your grandma, I gotta tell you. You get extra points for that.
And DJ, here's your helmet. Congratulations and welcome aboard. Brings our roster up to 24. Every time I speak for you, I tell you I'm the luckiest fire chief around. We're very, very fortunate to have the crew that we have here in our town. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have to run VR training.
Chief Booker.
So.
If the select board wouldn't mind, since we have Chief Booker here and it's past 6 o'clock. As you know, we talked about the heart monitors and the Lucas devices, and I had sent out an email to the budget committee. A majority of the budget committee has come back to me and let me know. And Derek met with at least one member of the budget committee. I had lengthy discussions with several. They're on board to authorize that rental of the Lucas devices and the heart monitors, and I just wanted your approval to proceed with that. In case you had any questions for Derek, get that done tonight so that he can get the ambulances fully outfitted.
I'd make the motion that we approve the rent, the leasing of those two pieces of equipment, the Lucas monitors and the CPR.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? No, proceed to vote. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried.
We'd previously discussed it. I just wanted to make sure that the budget committee had seen it.
Awesome.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Sorry to go out of order, but well, we had him. I didn't want to keep him late.
Okay, next is Landis Hudson on the Main Rivers and Alewives.
Great, I'm Landis, and I'm here just to introduce myself and say hello. So I work for the nonprofit.
Can
Main
you
Rivers.
just step up there so
Oh.
people at home can hear you?
There's actually
Okay.
a microphone
Yikes,
there.
all right.
Stephen. Should pick you up.
Greetings, thank you for putting me on the agenda. My name is Landis Hudson, and I work for the nonprofit Main Rivers. I've been in touch with your town manager on and off over the past few weeks, and have been in touch with your neighbors up in Washington. My organization has been talking with the Department of Marine Resources and with members of the Lloyd Davis Trust and the Potomac Brook Connection about reestablishing the Alewife Run to Washington Pond. And I'm just here to introduce myself. I've had at least one conversation with one of you. This type of work to reestablish fish passage is not usually very fast. Involves a number of barriers, culverts, beavers, dams, and even more complicated people. So it's an exciting opportunity. I'm very honored to be able to get to know your watershed better. It's been remarkable to learn a bit of the history and to have gotten support for the grant application that we submitted recently to NOAA to ask for funding to begin the process of establishing fish passage, safe, timely, and effective fish passage for river herring, which is alewives and blueback herring, to and from Washington Pond, but then also the smaller ponds. I must say you guys use the word Madomic quite a bit. So there's Madomic Pond, Little Madomic Pond, Madomic Brook, and the Madomic River. It was a little challenging in our rating to make sure we were getting all of the place names correct, but I think we did that. So as I say, we submitted a grant proposal for funding to work on these barriers to reestablish fish passage. We'll find out in December if we have funding to work on that, but my organization is very enthusiastic about it. And I look forward to working with you more as we get going. And I'm really just here to introduce myself and see if you have any questions or thoughts or anything
If
else.
you could, in December, if whether you find out yes or no, could you let us know?
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and from my experience in this realm, you know, it took a lot of work to get the logistics together. We had to really, you know, determine what each of the barriers were. And of course, each time we went out, would find a new one and have to get a handle on what we could do at that particular site. So that in itself was very helpful. this particular grant proposal, it would be wonderful if they gave us all the funding that we were asking for, but just the process of collecting all the information was enormously helpful. And even if we don't get that particular source of funding, it will offer us the opportunity to cut, paste, and resend for other opportunities. There's a growing acknowledgement of the importance of river herring as a keystone species, both for what they do, the life they support for the creatures that eat them in freshwater systems through the rivers, and then also in the Gulf of Maine. So there's more funding for this type of work for energetic grant writers like me and others.
Does your organization also look at how odds do for the water quality? With
Yes.
phosphorus and
Yeah.
stuff like that, they use
Yep.
a lot of phosphorus.
Yeah, so
If
we,
there's people putting fertilizers on their lawns, that's where it runs off is into the ponds.
right, it's a huge problem. And unfortunately with warm
they're-
temperatures,
Yeah.
things like algae blooms are gonna find more
But
of them.
they, that's what they eat. That's
Right.
what they'll clean
Yeah.
that up.
So my organization has just finished up a 7-year project in Vassalboro on China Lake, where we removed 3 dams and installed 3 technical fishways. And the Lake Association, the China Lake Association and the Weber Pond Association were very supportive because they are, aside from eagles and osprey and the fish themselves, they were eager to find out if the fish could be a way to improve water quality. And their experience has been beneficial, but lakes are complicated.
It's probably not gonna happen overnight. It's gonna
No.
take years for it to
Right,
see a change,
right,
but you gotta get them there first.
right.
Sorry, who actually does the work and how much was the grant for?
Who does the work? Well, there are lots of different distinct parts of a restoration project. And as I mentioned, we found 11 distinct barriers, and they range from road culverts owned by Maine DOT. And we would be basically having a friendly, collaborative connection with them to say, of course you want to improve fish passage at this culvert that you're not planning to rebuild for another 20 or 30 years. So we really have to look at each site and figure out what the best opportunity is for fixing it. Some of the private sites, we have to work with people as well. The outlet dam, Washington Pond has a very, very low dam that's in place. And there have been conversations over a number of years that's owned by the town of Washington. It doesn't look like a very imposing structure, but I would say from my experience, any dam is something serious to consider. And in that particular case, even though it's a very low dam, people consider it very important for retaining the water levels of Washington Pond. And-
Fishway or something like that.
Right, so we have to work on constructing a technical fishway there. And in fact, the grant proposal that we submitted was for $1.1 million, which sounds like an astonishing amount. Most of that would go toward that one technical fishway.
And that was one that we didn't think was originally, because if we've been
Right.
discussing this and, oh, we have one more thing to remove, or,
Yes,
11 was shot, when you told me 11,
yeah.
and
Beaver dams.
plus people, well, yeah, so we had a great, I have to say, we had a great discussion about those beaver dams, which,
And you will again. I'm
and
sure.
we will have more and more discussions about our lovely beaver friends. But it was shocking when she said 11. I was, because that's not a number we had heard before. Abden, you hadn't heard that, a number that high, had you?
I
However,
thought we only had 1 or 2 left.
Yeah,
well, yeah, and really that's good and bad by doing the work.
but we know now.
Now we know. And we were really taking a cue from the Department of Marine Resources, and now not just looking simply at Washington Pond, but looking at it more holistically in terms of making sure that some of the road culverts to the other ponds are addressed as well. So it's an ambitious undertaking.
So it's not just, there's other other obstacles often off of the Potomac River that you're looking at.
Yes, yeah.
So it's not, so technically, probably the Potomac River only has 1 or 2 obstacles
Right, yeah.
to Washington.
Well, yeah, so there's the outlet dam, which is
Yeah.
to be determined, but probably significantly more significant than we had hoped. And then a series of small beaver dams. There's a road culvert. I mean, there's a bridge in town that's, you know, in good shape, moves water, but will not be fish friendly. So DOT will be helping come up with some plans to make sure that the structure is not as smooth and fish can get up it. And then we do have another
Yeah.
privately owned dam where. that
I'm
will
going
take
to work on that
Yeah, good, good.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
when I get 2 minutes.
Will the grant money being allocated help address that private dam issue, or will the tenant have to
I
use for
think
that?
DMR had already put that money aside.
to be determined. I mean, at this point, you know, we're still in the discussion phase. From my experience working on this project in China and Vassalboro and other places, it does take a while. It's not the case that even if we had all the funding we needed, we could get everything done in a year. It does take a while. But the good news is, you know, that the state has been stocking the pond with alewives, and from my perspective, finding out that there's so much support from people in Waldeboro is very exciting. It's very fulfilling work to do, even if it's.
I don't know where they went, but there was a massive run. There was like 3 runs that come up through here this year at 3 different towns.
Wow.
People were lining up. I literally drove home one night and I'm going up the hill towards Damariscotta. And I look over and there is an osprey with an alewife that flew literally in the oncoming lanes right next to me the whole way up the hill. It was one of the neatest experiences. And if I'd had the forethought to pick up the camera, I would have crashed, but I consider it one of the neatest things that I have ever experienced. I actually thought that was amazing. And I was like, that's coming from my river and it's going right.
It's very
Didn't know where it was going, but it followed the traffic well.
One of the things that we did in the towns of China and Vassalboro, China, of course, has the lake, Vassalboro has the stream, so we got to know both towns pretty well. And we found it really meaningful and interesting to work with 5th and 6th graders. So we invited ourselves into the classroom and then brought them out into the field to see what we were doing. And it was really wonderful to give them a sense of what we were thinking about doing. And then this past spring, when the fish were moving through the system, they brought their school buses out and saw, you know, in this case, it was 837,000 alewives that got into the lake this year for the first time on their own. So really exciting to bring kids and teachers in, and if that's something of interest here, we're doing that too.
Hope we can do that here.
You know, and I just, when Landis called me, I was really excited and I knew, I mean, we love our alewives, so I figured it was nice so we could put a face to the name and know that we're progressing. I mean, we just heard from the Lloyd Davis Fish Trust. And like I said, it's good to get the knowledge that there's 11 and that there's this grant out there and we're working on it.
Right.
So if you're awarded the grant
Mhm.
and you get the money, you have to spend it, Maine Rivers is going to be in charge, have the fiduciary responsibility for the monies.
Right,
And you're going to ride lead on this effort.
right.
So you're the coordinator.
Right, yeah.
And you have to verify invoices. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you have to do to expend that money.
Right. Mhm.
I'm guessing you're going to need help from every town along that road.
Yes, we learned a lot over the 7-year, nearly $3 million project that we did on China Lake. And it was collaborative and we worked really well with the 2 towns. My general operating principle is to ask people for the kind of help that they are willing and able to give, as opposed to you know, asking small towns to fund gigantic fishways on their own. So we worked pretty collaboratively and we managed to get a lot done. But we'll see whether this particular funding source comes through But people are keenly aware of the importance of the ecological role of these fish as a keystone species. So it may take more work to find the funding, but I think there are going to be more opportunities there.
Can I ask one more question? Sorry. What's your background? How did you get interested?
Oh, my background. I was born in Alaska in a salmon fishing village, believe it or not. And I come from a family of long distance swimmers. Is that, how's that?
That's a good combination.
It's a good combination, yeah. And I'm fine writing grants.
Endurance is the
Yeah,
key.
endurance is the way to go, yes. Come straight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Douglas.
Great.
you.
Yeah, Thanks for putting me on your agenda. And congratulations on the health of your fire department. I certainly something to be proud of. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we can skip number 5, public hearings. Adjustments to the agenda. Robert,
We have some committee assignments to make tonight. And I would recommend we put that under new business 11. I'd make that motion.
So moved.
second? Okay, any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. All right. Citizen comments. Do we have anybody online?
No, doesn't look like it.
All right. On to select board comments.
Is it me? I just had a question to ask Will. I got a missive from the state saying that some locations are going to start accepting pesticide products. And we're not mentioned as one of those, so I'm guessing we're not involved in the program that will take place in October. Does one have to get in line for that? Make an application for it? Or did we just sort of randomly or arbitrarily selected as, okay, bring your stuff to Waldoboro, or Waldoboro can bring it to Damascus or wherever. I know we've had these in the past.
Yeah, I think it's something you have to sign up for.
It is. Okay. I don't know whether we're due for that or not. I just asked him a question.
Yeah, probably. Should.
Now, they mentioned 4 locations from southern Maine up to northern Maine, and I didn't see anything in mid-coast, so I was just wondering. Okay, thanks.
Oh,
I'm not a man of few words.
you're a man of few words sometimes. Well,
Okay, I'll take that.
I just wanted to say that I really love meetings that start with presentations. So we've had 2 today, 2 different kinds. And one, I think is just pride in our town, pride in our fire department. And Paul said that we're really fortunate. He feels really fortunate that he has a full crew or whatever. And I was thinking we're really fortunate to have Paul here too, and to have him come honor the new people who join. And it's so nice to see the families come in. That's always uplifting to me. And then we had another one where we got educated and we learned things that are going on, plus more. That was very nice of her to come introduce herself.
Yep.
So I really do enjoy that. So I did want to say that Wednesday night at the Waldo Theater, I had talked last time, I think, about volunteering. So I decided, well, maybe I ought to do a little more. So I volunteered at a movie on Ocean at the Waldo. It was really good. It was a documentary about 8 different ones, and it was like my attention span just goes boom, 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 boom. And then, so the movie was right up my alley. It wasn't a movie, it was a documentary, but it was very interesting. Everything about oceans and water was really good. And the one tomorrow night is Entangled, and it has to do with the lobster industry and the right whale. And that's quite important to us in Maine. And I thought it would be interesting to, so I'm going to volunteer there, and then I get to watch watch the movie and hopefully learn more.
I don't know. Sweet.
Okay, the only thing I have is, we noted the kayak platform that's on the Madomic. And I just had a question. Has there been any thought into putting a rope or a cable just above the falls in case somebody gets away from them, that they couldn't grab on and at least pull themselves to shore?
Yep, it's been talked about, and also
Okay.
some signage too, so.
We did, temporary signs were put up. They did not make it through the weekend.
Oh, gee.
I will tell you at 7:30 Friday night, temporary signs were put up, 9 of them. And I think 2 were still there on Sunday, and by yesterday morning, or by Monday morning, they were down.
Incredible.
Is it fair to assume we're asking people to paddle upstream? Not down?
We are asking people to paddle upstream, and even when I made this temporary signs, and I even laminated them. I said, danger rocks, don't go right. And the only thing I was suggested is I maybe should have put an arrow instead of right and left. Because everybody was like, I don't always know my right from my left. I'm like, well, I guess I should have put an arrow, but so we ordered signs yesterday morning, and it should all be happy news.
Okay, that moves along to the town manager's report.
So I received a missive from the Department of Marine Resources about aquaculture leases. And they just wanted to remind towns that we don't regulate them, that the state does. So I took it as an opportunity to communicate with Meredith, who sent it, that they need to do a better job communicating. Because we had an application for one here in town. And the application said it would not hinder navigation. The Shellfish Committee had serious concerns about it because it was oyster aquaculture, and I guess oysters and clams don't always get along. They don't make good neighbors. And, I said, I don't know if you have the right addresses to be sending these things to, and apparently some leases, there's different requirements for notification. So I was invited to share my thoughts with the DMR on that. So if any of you have thoughts, and I'm going to put this out to the Shellfish Committee, I'm going to have a conversation with them about how it would be appropriate to talk to us. They do send out to the harbor master a questionnaire, but our harbor master doesn't go down that particular, it's right across, it's right in front of your grandfather's house. And at low tide, if there's oysters, what are they called? Oyster.
Sea farm.
Oyster farm.
Cages.
Cages. It'll be impassable. I could just about walk across there. So it's one of those things that just happened to cross, my email, but I think it's a wonderful opportunity. And they engaged with me easily and quickly. I answered it within 2 minutes of sending it out when I received it, and I got a reply back from Meredith within a minute of sending it back. So I'm happy to see that they're engaging us in that. So I was very pleased. Also, the town of Bremen has DOT, Department of Transportation work happening. So Bremen Road is going to be closed somewhere around August 29th. I put it out on Facebook today. I got the notice from Hager Enterprises Incorporated in Damariscotta. They're going to be doing the work. I did not get a notice from the DOT on this one. But it's not in our town, it's in Bremen, but where a lot of our residents are calling. It's a large culvert replacement. So I don't know how long it will be closed, but the details are on our Facebook page.
I saw that on Facebook. Thank you.
Abby has something to say.
Yes, please.
The Shellfish Committee did put in comments on this lease. The lease was inaccurate to start with when they said there was plenty of water to pass through. And clearly by the navigational maps, there's like 3 feet of water there. So they would have impeded it, and the size of it would have taken up the complete area that you could have actually come in and out of the cove up in the back river. There has not been a public hearing on it that we are aware of.
Not yet.
The DMR's area biologist that the Shellfish Committee has is supposed to let us know when there is one. Hopefully the town is notified, but the Shellfish Committee did put comments in on it to either reduce the size of it and
also for the triploid oysters, if they are
yes,
going
and
to
have
do
the
it.
triploid oysters, so
That
they
don't
won't reproduce. So that was questions we had, comments we made, but like I said, we haven't heard of any public hearing yet. And there will be if there's comments, so we're on top of it.
I'm just wondering, is it just the DMR that issues these leases? So they issue, I think they get one every couple of weeks or every month. I'm sure you must get it too. A notice of the applications they've received and the actions they've taken or not taken on the applications.
I don't get that.
You don't get that?
You're not signed up for DMI, I get them all the time.
Okay,
I
yeah,
get them
I get it.
10 a week, 10 emails a week.
So if presumably the one that we're talking about tonight would have been on one of those.
Yeah, oh yeah, I've been looking at every single one of them.
Okay.
to
No,
make
but
sure.
I don't think it has even been on there yet.
No.
Hasn't even shown up on that.
Really?
I don't know if the applicant's stalling or taking it down, we don't know.
But anyway, they're gonna call, they're gonna have a good conversation with me, so should be interesting. But I just wanted,
Meredith knows who I am.
but I wanted to let them know that, you know, if they're thinking they're communicating with the town of Waldeboro, they're not communicating with the town of Waldeboro. That was my point, and I was happy to see the quick response. That's all I have.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second,
Been moved and second. Is there any discussion? Not all in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. All right, new business, committee appointments. Robert?
Colonel and I met with Mark Stultz. Actually, we met with him for other reasons, but we spent an hour talking to him. Guy's really impressive. And we didn't know at the time that he's had all this experience working in the water department in Portland. And he wants to be on our water committee. And so, wow, what a treasure. So, yeah, we would highly recommend him for that. And then Patty Fazio has applied to the Sylvania Development Committee and to the Economic Development Committee. And she has an interesting background and I think would bring something to the table on both of those committees. So I make the motion to, sorry,
Mark also applied for the planning board.
that's not something that we would as committee, that's not a committee, that's a board. So that's not something.
No, you interviewed for
Yeah,
the planning board.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
Yeah.
Let's say we did.
All right,
We did.
fair enough.
That was part of it.
So he would be great on the planning board as well.
I thought his application said both.
I may have misread it. I mean, I can look it up now.
That's fine.
If he's applying to the planning board, we should put him.
And
on
we
there
have
as
a
well.
vacancy.
And we have a vacancy, yeah. So I'd nominate both of those individuals to all of those committees and boards that I've discussed just now.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried.
Well, that's good news. It's good news to get somebody on
Yes.
the planning board and other
He's
things.
a
Yeah, get
very-
some good people.
Exactly.
He's a great guy.
Yeah,
They are
that's great.
nice people. Okay, old business. Julie, update on priorities.
In front of you is a very lovely color-coded priority list that has been updated. And I may have stapled them backwards. Some degree. But the items in pink have been added since the last update. The first page should say Waldeboro Select Board priorities, and it probably might have been stated as the second page. But the pink, items in pink have been added since our last review, and everything that's been completed was taken off, so we're starting with a fresh. And the ones that were added were the 250th committee, EMS service area billing, which is ongoing, communications with residents, mental health outreach from community navigation, assistance with business information, planning, training facility, that would be a fire training facility potential at Sylvania, recruitment and retention for the fire department, downtown plan implementation planning, historic district planning, updating of the Quarry Hill easements and improvements for conservation and planning, town forest maintenance, actually, that should say woolly adelgid. I said it right. Conservation and planning, an EDA project, EDC and planning, and that should say planning, not PL planning. And creation of the Sylvania master plan, that would be Sylvania Committee of Planning, and update the TIF, and that would be the EDC and plan. I did not rank them in order of any importance. But one of the things that you're going to be doing in the next 2 weeks is completing my employee evaluation. And you will note there is room on the evaluation to list my strengths and my areas of improvement. There's also goals from 121 you have to review. And at the very last page at the bottom, it's goals for the following year. So I would urge you to consult this document when you're preparing my evaluation so that there's continuity from what our goals are and what you would like me to do.
Anything else?
May I just clarify something about the 250th celebration? The committee has basically turned that over to the Historical Society, but everything's staying the same. It really is more appropriate to be with them. It's an historic celebration of the town. And they're a nonprofit, so it will help in the fundraising as well. But nothing is changing personnel-wise. We're all committed and moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Is Stan coming in tonight? Oh, okay.
Okay. All right, next, 151 Campbell Hill update.
Hi, everyone. So I'm going to screen pictures of 151 Campbell Hill Road. What you're seeing right now is just the path that I walked with the very straight line being the actual boundaries. You'll see those three marks that look like someone dumping trash. Those are some notable areas that I saw some dumping taking place. And this is just a little metal bridge that I saw, and this is just a little shack that I found. So we weren't aware that there was actually dumping that took place on the site when we got it. Apparently there was a individual who owned property a while ago who would go up through Quarry Hill Road, just dump old sheds there and shacks. So you see that one. This was a bit more expansive of a area that was dumped. And there was some electronic stuff that I did find in there. And then there were some wood piles up there. I also have, I think, I have it over there. Bob, I think you asked about this as well. There is a deeded right of way to go through the northern part of that property. That would be here. I'm basically concerned that we'd be spending money to clean up this site to only then be turned into someone's vehicular road. I reached out to the owner, the previous owner, who wanted to make a bid on it, and he said, I'm not gonna get rid of this right away." Even though he would be able to just access the rest of his property through this northern area.
How big is the right of way?
It just says that we have to guarantee,
Is it a 30 foot or 20 foot?
it just, I think I have. Sorry, I left it in my office, but it just says that he's guaranteed vehicular and pedestrian right of way.
So it doesn't mean that he can put a 50 foot right of way and put power up through there to the backside of his property.
I think that would be up for an attorney or someone with legal background to look at the determine.
And this is the former owner of this property?
No,
One of the former.
Okay.
This was someone who owned it like 2 decades ago, maybe,
Oh, okay.
who then sold it off to an individual who did nothing there.
but he left himself a right of way across that property to get to the backside
Get
of
to
his.
the,
John and Will, Max asked John and Will to go up and take a look at it. They have not been able to get up there yet.
But I mean, if it's just a vehicle drive, even a 16 foot right of way, I don't see why we shouldn't clean it up. But I mean, if it's a 50 foot right of way and they can put central main power, or put power up through there. Let them build a road.
I think part of it is just seeing public works, what capacity there is to get it done. 'Cause it would be great to conserve it, that was the whole point of it, but I'm just worried how much work this is gonna take on their end, and if we do put in time and money to clean it up, how much of an impact is this access gonna have cause?
Go ahead, Bob. I was just gonna ask whether cleaning up could also involve burning some of that stuff and giving the fire department training some experience.
Again, I think that's something that John and Will are gonna have to take a look at. Because I did see some electronic stuff there, but there was some items that was just wood, so. Their evaluation on that.
and you know who's doing the dump, who has done the dumping? There,
Yeah, the individual who owned this a while ago said, oh yeah, this individual that I sold to, he would just dump all this stuff up there. And then I sold off, so supposedly no one's dumping up there.
okay, so this is from a while ago, it's not
Yes.
ongoing?
Right.
Okay.
Does this border Quarry Hill?
Yep.
It does, so.
Yeah, so this bottom orange line that you see, hopefully you can see my mouse at, that is the line just south of it is quarry.
That's our property.
That's our property, yes.
So this is right next, I mean, it's contiguous to
Yep.
our property. You simply enlarge that lot.
Yep, and that's why I did advocate to hold on to it last time, because that would be great to just expand north. It does seamlessly enter into the property, it would be great. We'll see it when it goes up there, but it wasn't that difficult to walk it, actually. Then again, that's me saying it.
What are you saying?
He's a gazelle.
I'm saying I'm stubborn.
Oh, I was thinking you were saying you're young, and agile, strong.
It would be good to hold on to. We just have to make sure we prevent further dumping in the future.
And the right of way, just to be sure I understand it correctly, has no restrictions on it, or does it?
I can show you the deed after. the meeting if you
Okay,
like.
I'm just curious about what is allowed.
It says access vehicles, pedestrians.
Oh, it does.
Yeah. I did see vehicles in there.
But not utility lines. think Adam's raising an important point.
I don't think utility line was listed.
Like vehicles to drive through the land, is that?
Well,
Are
that's something to do with removal of loose granite
Yeah,
or.
there was also another one, but I couldn't find it before the meeting. There was also part of it, another claim deed that said that loose gravel that's on the site, or granite that's on the site can be removed as well. Which I think I found that spot where the loose gravel is.
That's odd. I mean,
Yeah, we need to take a look at Public Works, needs to take a look at it and then come up with an estimate for cleaning it up. Probably do that by the end of the week.
The hope is we could get a grant to help with the cleanup as we're doing all the projects up there, but again, I don't want to go through all the effort if we just start from square one.
Well, I make the motion that we look into keeping it pending what we hear from Public Works. And not sell it. At this point.
I'll second that.
Okay, is there any discussion?
we probably need more information before we would want to put it on the market. Yeah, I'd like to know what they're doing, access, what does the access mean? Does that mean access to dump more stuff to hang out there?
I can show you the deed. but
Yeah,
it-
yeah.
It was essentially just saying that there's a right of way access in the northern part of the property.
Yeah, it doesn't really explain anything. Though. That was the
Not really.
point. That's a real,
It's very.
yeah, very vague, yeah.
I've done similar thing, somebody wanted just to go across the corner of my property, but I wouldn't allow them to put a 50-foot right away because then CMP could put power across it. I give them a 30-foot right away, and CMP won't put power across it. That was purposely done, so they could access the backside of their property.
Mhm.
That's why I was asking how big the
Yeah.
right away it was,
Yeah, then you know what can be done.
Yep.
And what can't be done.
or any easements. There's no easements other than
Just that.
just that right away.
Just
If
that.
there's no easements, then
And the right to harvest granite.
And the right to harvest granite.
on that property or the
On
person.
that one that's highlighted, that specific property, yes. Any loose granite.
Any granite that's lying on the ground. Did you see any?
I saw where they're likely referring to. I mean, I saw like some. I also don't know. I was just there to full disclosure, this was when the blueberries were ready for picking. So I just quickly walked it.
And then
And
pick your
I
blueberries.
think my blueberries got out. Yeah.
How were the blueberries?
Oh, very good. And nice, smooth cabinet.
Juicy. Is there any other discussion?
But you don't want to know more about the blueberries.
No, let's move on. Okay.
Just one other question though.
Yes, sir.
If there's stuff up there, can people hurt themselves on it? And is the town potentially liable between now and when we decide what we're gonna do with it? Do we need to put up any signs or warnings or whatever saying, don't walk down here because you might get hurt?
I think it would fall under our normal liability that we have on property.
Okay, we don't have to place warnings. Question.
We're not really encouraging.
We're
going out
not.
there right now.
We can post it, but it's just like any other piece of property we own. People can walk on it and get hurt.
All right. Any other discussion? If not, let's go ahead and proceed to vote. All in favor of this motion? All opposed? Motion carried. Okay, that brings us to property bid awards 19 Oak Road.
So 19 Hope Road, we had 3 bids. The first bid was from an Errol Burns, $8,700, Shane Verge, $500, and Tim and Tamiko Dodge, $2,500. So the winning bid was to Errol Burns, $8,700.
Do you need a motion?
We need a motion to accept
So
that.
I will reward that. 19 Hope Road to Earl Burns for $8,700.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Raise your right hand. All opposed? Motion carried. Okay, finally, 914 Old Augusta Road.
We need to table that.
I move we table that.
I'll second it.
Discussion? All in favor? Raise your right hand.
When are you tabling it to the next meeting, correct? First
Yes.
meeting in September?
Okay. So that brings us to the next thing, agenda items for the next meeting or September is the 914 Old Augusta Road and also Stan Waltz
Yes.
presentation. Anything else anybody can think of?
We're having a presentation from the first wealth management on our investments.
And I think the Oktoberfest committee is going to have an application in for a one-day permit, temporary permit for the Oktoberfest beer. I think Catherine had talked to you about that or something.
So, and that's one thing too I want to bring up is liquor licenses are under the clerk.
Right.
So she should be communicating with Pam.
She is.
Okay.
They spoke.
I just wanted to make
Yeah,
sure. I'm trying to make sure that those types of things go to,
It says we have to approve it. So
Yeah.
it should
Right.
be on the agenda.
right, and it should go through Pam.
Okay, I see we've got Ruben online.
Ruben's just wondering how people would bid on these properties.
So
Hi.
it's a sealed bid. It's advertised in the Lincoln County News. And the directions are right on there. Typically, they come up once a year, normally in somewhere in between June to August.
All right, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor? Raise your right hand. All opposed?